This is Michael Stevens, the creator of Vsauce. You might know him better as just Vsauce Michael, or even just Vsauce. Michael Stevens is one of the most prolific, influential, and important creators of the digital age. His style is unmistakable, his charisma is infectious, and his hairline is receding. Being on YouTube for nearly 10 years and counting can make someone or something feel like they've always been around. For as long as most people have been using YouTube, Vsauce was there, and continues to be there. However, every mountain begins its life as just a single grain of sand, and Michael really is no exception. This journey will take us back nearly a decade to a time when YouTube was younger and how one man with a vision turned a virgin digital landscape into a flawlessly paved road for edutainment in the future. As of the time of writing, the Vsauce YouTube channel has 367 videos, uploaded between June 24th, 2010 and February 17th, 2020, just under 10 years. Obviously, that's a lot of videos over a fairly staggering amount of time. As such, we're going to be looking at these through 5 eras. Each era marks the beginning of a gradual shift in his videos' directions, although sometimes it is a sudden shift. The first of these eras I call Pre-Vsauce, or Pre-Sauce, and it's the shortest one we have. If you've ever seen the earliest videos on the Vsauce channel, it's a fairly surreal experience. The first thing uploaded is titled Top E3 Rumors You Missed Wacky Gamer, and stars 2 men named Adam and Jeff and 0 men named Michael Stevens. For what I can tell, it seems Michael used to work as a co-writer for a site/podcast/comedy group called Wacky Gamer. Their presence would remain on the channel for a few more months before falling into the void every early 2010s memory did. I'm going to avoid talking about these guys as much as possible because A, this video is about Michael, and B, even by the standards of early Vsauce, these videos have aged like milk. Speaking of aging like milk, however, let's talk about the first video on the channel to feature Michael exclusively.
Hey, it's me, Mario. Let's eat a mushroom. Delicious, delicious. Oh no, it's making me stomach all grumbly. This mushroom, it's gonna give me the poo-poos.
This is Mario Farts, uploaded on June 29th, 2010. This is one of the things I was most glad to be able to show, because my plan with this video is to draw a direct, linear line between this mushroom, it's gonna give me the poo-poos, and the videos you know today is Vsauce. The fingerprints of this era of Vsauce are actually still on the channel today. In addition to it obviously having the same name, the green, slimy aesthetic was codified during this time. In fact, Michael used this exact outro of a hand-crushing an NES cartridge all the way until November 11th, 2014 in the video Misnomers. This era lasted from the channel's inception on June 24th, 2010 up until July the 3rd of the same year, a period of only 9 days. This time on the channel is less of a cornerstone the channel rests upon and more of a decorative facade of an old building with the same name that stood in the same plot of land.
Mario Farts is my least favorite, but I still treasure it. It's totally off-brand. It's unbelievable to many people who stumble upon it now that it's on the Vsauce channel. But back when I made it, Vsauce was about video game comedy and whatever Michael could throw together.
But don't worry, we're not quite done with the early 2010s cringe quite yet, because next up we have the Bronze Age of Vsauce. This one starts with the classic top 5 video game WTFs.
Today, we're going to be looking at some of the top 5 video game WTFs. There are way more than 5 out there, but guess what? 5 is a nice round number, and it's the number of girlfriends I have. And by 5, I mean 0.
This channel wasn't exactly about education at this time, if you can tell. At this point, an identity for the channel did begin to form, however, that identity being cleavage in the thumbnail and general stuff about geek culture.
Don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next products.
Fortunately, during this time, our first semi-educational video would kind of appear on the channel, but not really. Way back in the old days of the channel, there was a regular segment called Lean Back, where Michael would host a playlist of unlisted videos that would bounce you around to other channels as to not take any viewership away from them. How altruistic. These were extremely light, even compared to how light the channel usually is with science, but educational nonetheless. As the channel grew, Michael felt more comfortable shifting away from whatever the channel was to expressing his love for teaching, but that would all change on July 14th, 2011 with the release of the first prototype of what would become a Vsauce video, Hawaii Facts. Now, Hawaii Facts isn't quite like a proper Vsauce video, while it does hit a lot of the right notes, starting with the classic, "Hey, Vsauce, Michael here." though I guess he did omit the hey in this video. Along with the right editing and music, its focus on a singular topic so tightly does make it feel like it has far more in common with the older list videos. However, the feel of the video is dead on with its contemporaries, and as such, I am officially saying that this is the first video of the Silver Age of Vsauce. From this point on, more and more videos of this style, the Vsauce style, would find their way onto the channel. The format, length, and subject of these earlier videos would be a touch more varied as the style was still being nailed down. Along with Hawaii facts, the next few would be in this prototype style, namely biggest explosions, what is video, why is there a moon, ... and more, you can't touch anything, and water. By the time you get to the last one, the style is mostly codified and would remain the foundation for many years to come. Improvement wouldn't take long to come, as the next video, titled Lonely, would demonstrate.
And today, we're going to talk about loneliness.
As you might be able to guess from the title, this video is a little depressing. But this video is, in a way, a microcosm of what makes this channel valuable, especially during this time in its life. Pop science as a genre is generally focused solely on trying to make learning enjoyable. That's why it's pop science. If you listen to Michael talk about why he does what he does, his answer is always something to the effect of, everything on this planet is so interesting and I want people to know and appreciate the things around them.
If you look closely enough, and you take the time, anything can be interesting to anyone because everything is related in some way to something they care about.
Sometimes it's difficult to appreciate the value of something if you aren't aware of the full gamut of emotions it can bring to you, even the negative ones. Michael never shied away from these heavier topics from this point forward as the channel truly moved forward from goofy, Reddit-style roundup videos to true edutainment. This next stretch of videos would be some of his most popular, and almost all would be questions or appear to show contradictions. From the release of Lonely on October 10th, 2011, all the way until What If You Were Born in Space on May 12th, 2013, there were 52 proper Vsauce-style videos, as in ones that weren't part of another series or the start of a leanback. 35 of these ended with a question mark, and 4 appear to show logical contradictions, and just 13 were relaying general intrigue. Now, you may have wondered why I chose this specific time frame. That's because the video immediately following is the all-time classic, simply titled If. It was the only video in a stretch of 13 proper Vsauce pieces to not end with a question mark, but unlike earlier videos lacking them, the subject matter of this one is almost intentionally ambiguous and vague. What is in this video? I'll tell you what, a turning point. Michael's videos had been getting quite heavier over the years, not just with more granular science, but with more of its implications to the human experience. These were usually relegated to the last minute or so of the video.
Every sight and feeling and sound and smell we get from our universe is actually just the universe reacting with us. Everything we know about the universe we know because it has already been processed and changed and analyzed and filtered inside the factory of our senses.
But If is different. It's about the human impact on Earth, our impact to each other, and the apathy the universe as a whole feels to all of us.
We may never know if something will or will not happen, but by pursuing space, corners of other worlds, we gain a perspective that can help us shrink the size of that mysterious and often frightening if.
More and more videos would feature more nuanced and heavier topics. Risk is about human mortality. Did the past really happen is essentially baby's first step into philosophy. How people disappear is about the amount of good a single person can contribute to society, as well as the harm. In Where Is This Video, he goes from the video existing on a hard drive to the fact that a human being is just DNA instructions being followed, and badly followed, continuously in under 2 minutes. That is incredible. The gradual focus on the weight of science as it relates to the human experience would eventually become the head of the channel all at once, in one of the most magnificent evolutionary moments in the history of YouTube. On July 31st, 2015, Vsauce released the Banach-Tarski paradox, thus beginning the golden age. It's not that this video or the ones later would feature substantially greater production values, or even be about things which are super different from before. These videos are simply, in a few words, Michael taking off the kitty gloves. These videos, in both their explanations of scientific and philosophical theory, are far less pop-like than any of his earlier work, but they also have far more of an emotional weight attached to them. None of these videos end without the viewer truly feeling like they've seen the world in a different way. One of my favorite videos of this era is It Okay to Touch Mars? Because it appears to be an early Silver Age video, positing a mostly superfluous question that could be answered in 5 seconds. However, it isn't asking whether your human physiology could make contact with Mars' surface and be alright. It's about the moral and philosophical consequences of infinite human expansion into the galaxy and beyond.
Should humans go to Mars? It would be a great way to spread out, to diversify our habitats so we're still around should anything happen to Earth. And of course, it does give us more space for more people. But for what?
It's not, is it okay to touch Mars? It's, is it okay to touch Mars? You know? But ultimately, what is the value of these videos? Why does this video extolling their worth even exist? What makes these videos different from the myriad of others of its type? Well, it's like I mentioned before, Vsauce connects science through the lens of the human experience. Michael's videos don't just talk about some mathematical concept or a piece of scientific theory, they talk about how that relates to you as a human being.
Education is always fun. It's just that people don't always see how applicable it is to their day-to-day lives. Whether it is black holes or the way paint dries, there's a way to tie that into what people are actually passionate about.
To him, science isn't valuable just because. It's valuable because it improves your understanding of your own existence. It makes you understand the magnitude and the beauty of the world you live in. The reason why these videos are so compelling to so many people is that Michael isn't just teaching you why or how the world works, he's teaching you why you should care. These sorts of videos are very rare because it stops being about the subject of the topic and becomes more about someone just trying to share a piece of them with you. For instance, he wears his American heritage on his sleeve, sometimes even literally, especially with his reverence for NASA and his pet topic of the Apollo 11 moon landing, which he loves to bring up so often. And that's because these videos are just more personal. Michael isn't arguing for why you should care about what would happen if everyone on Earth jumped at once. Don't be ridiculous. He is arguing for the validity of his worldview. He's arguing for science and learning being valuable. Michael believes truly that everything on this planet and everything beyond it is so spectacular and so beautiful.
Yeah, if you ask enough questions, it gets down to, dude, you're blowing my mind. And it's like, no, that really is just the way this pen stays on the table is incredible.
And he believes that anyone could see it that way if they just took the time, because if you care about something, then you can care about anything, right? That's what this channel really is, and that's what I've been trying to get past for the past 13 or so minutes. That's what Vsauce really is, in the end. As much as I'd like to end on that note, we're actually still one era short. Last but not least is the current Ascension era, which we've been in since the release of the first season of Minefield on January 18th, 2017. There are 3 main sections to Michael's videos during this time. There's also Brain Candy Live, which I cannot comment on because I did not see. Basically, the theme of this era is experimentation. Minefield was, and possibly will continue to be, an interesting place for someone like Michael to go. The television format offers larger scope at the cost of authorship. Obviously, Vsauce hadn't been a solo endeavor for quite some time, but Michael was definitely in the driver's seat, as it were. Minefield is a departure from videos that I had just referred to as the Golden Age, so obviously I do have a personal preference, but this is still very excellent work. They retain the soul of Vsauce, for lack of a better word, quite well.
But as you can see, a lot of corn is grown in Kansas, but around here, the main thing that I saw being grown was just sod.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a famous sod farm around here whose slogan was, "High on grass."
It is also during this time Michael would basically take over the Dong sister channel. Dong was one of the smaller segments on the original Vsauce channel that was moved on to Vsauce 3 before becoming its own channel entirely. This channel uploaded consistently for 2 years until Michael released Genet Lucas Rules on a new segment he called Michael's Toys. I say that with that tone because this was obviously just a way for him to make lighter, less structured, less strenuous episode of regular Vsauce.
Plus, I know the password to this channel and can upload whatever I want.
As you can see by this handy dandy chart I've constructed, with the horizontal axis being the year, the vertical axis being the number of videos, and it being color labeled by who the host was, the Dong channel was a mostly evenly distributed endeavor between Vsauce 2 host Kevin Lieber, Vsauce 3 host Jake Roper, and Michael himself. Also Nikki, don't worry about who Nikki is, it doesn't matter. As you can see, come 2019, Michael took over. These videos are a lot more casual and freeform than the usual Vsauce affair.
Welcome to Ding, the name this channel has always gone by. It has never been called anything that might not be considered brand friendly or might possibly lead to demonetization.
Michael has an interesting object or idea and mostly explains that singular object or idea. The greater ramifications aren't followed as they would be in older videos, but you're just sort of supposed to appreciate it for what it is, you know? And lastly, there are the videos that actually went up on Vsauce. These videos are fairly similar to the Michael's Toys segments from the Ding channel. Not really much to say about them without repeating myself, honestly. They're on similar subjects, and they're both very unscripted. Which brings us to today. Not today specifically, as I write this on February 26th and as I record it on the 27th, but February 17th, 2020, the last video Michael put out. How many holes does a human have? Just 4 months after the release of this will be the 10th anniversary of Mario Farts, a full decade of videos of all kinds in this YouTube channel. For the full length of the 2010s, Michael Stevens pushed edutainment and video creation as a whole forward to places nobody thought it could go. He didn't just make people think, he made people feel.
I hope that when people watch this video that I've made in Whittier, they get scared at first, and then they get existential about their own lives, their own homes, their own habitats, and then they just feel really proud to be a human.
And as always, thanks for watching.